So recently, DPSCD just voted to acknowledge Pride Month within the school calendar. How will you stress the importance of advancing LGBTQ plus equity in classrooms?
We support every student in our district. That's my responsibility, to support every student. I think the way that I was able to most support them was to vote for the resolution to acknowledge a Pride Month. And that is what school board members do. I acknowledge every student. We have a policy in place, which is the equality and equity of every child. We just put in last night with school board meeting, homeless children. We just put in that every homeless child has a right to equitable education. We just voted last night on foster care, children in foster care. And so how even children who are in foster care, who come from shelters or who come from temporary housing situations, every child in DPSCD has the right to equitable education, that there is no distinction of any child. So that community, as well as Latin American communities, Arab American communities, Pakistani community, every child, it is my responsibility to see that there is no discrimination, that there is nothing done within the district, the entire district, even with employees. Let's just move that up to staff, but no person is in any way marginalized or excluded because of gender, race, ethnicity, or religion. And that is our legal responsibility.
So like with other underrepresented groups, I would want to make sure, one, students, parents, and administrators and caregivers are knowledgeable about what does that mean when we say LGBTQ students or individuals, right? What does it mean? Because knowledge is power. And just like every other group or entity wants to be respected and treated with dignity, we have to do the same to every human being. And so it would start with educating every individual. That means students, educators as well, oftentimes need to be aware of practices, best practices of what to do. Also having these youth be able to have events or work with other organizations. So for example, in some schools, there may be an Arab American student group. How do they work together to help get the word out and support students across the board? And so I like to think of them as an underrepresented group that we want to have more voice to. But again, this goes to all people who are diverse and different or underrepresented in our district. We need to make sure that their voice is heard, that people are aware of our unique differences and preferences on what we choose for life, and to support them as human beings at the end of the day. Education, you all will hear me speak to education a lot. It's what we do in our day-to-day for our entrepreneurs. When we learn and understand better, we are better human beings to supporting one another. And so I would also want to make sure this segment of students are a part of our governing council, are participating in meetings, are also helping advocate and educating us along the way.
Equity across the board is a value that we have to be respectful of. It's a value that we have to demonstrate. It's a value that we have to ensure that our behaviors are representative of. And therefore, inclusion says that if we say that we can be responsible to the entire demographics of the population, that we have to be responsive to the entire demographics of the population.
The point is this: we have all kinds of months. We have Hispanic month, we have Women's Month, African American month. There would be no reason why I would not pass a policy to stress and emphasize and support Pride Month. None at all. Actually, it was many of the people in the Pride community who helped get me into the school board the first time I won. I have many friends who are LGBTQ, and they really worked hard to help me. So if your question is, what will I do? If there is no current policy, then I would put a policy in place. Well, at least I
Okay.
would do it. I sponsor a policy because, you know, it takes 4 votes to get anything done on the school board.
Well, I have to go back to when I was a middle school principal at McMichael Middle. That's over on Linwood in Detroit. And we had a leading girls basketball team. And so I accepted Pride Month and everything way back then because kids will be who they are. Okay. And there's nothing I can do to change it. So that's one thing, is that when I knew that was going on with some girls or some guys, we would have a talk and we would learn how to get through the school year. As it is that we now have Pride Month, let's accept it and let's see what we could do. It's almost like a special ed student. I want special ed and general ed 8th grade students to be together, because I want those general ed 8th grade students to know that special ed students have needs, and I don't want them giggled at. I want you to befriend them and give them some ideas on how to be successful. So that's inclusionary kinds of strategies. And so I would do the same thing here. Since we have we adopted it, what was it, last month or month before last? We've got time to talk about it as a board as to the kinds of fun activities or authentic activities that we could have to make sure that students feel comfortable. Okay. And no, that could be forums, that could be assemblies. You know, students they're more accepting than adults. You know, and you just have to make it more of an awareness and let that be. I think we're doing a fine job with that. That's my thinking. I think you start from the high schools and you go down to the middle or middle and high. I'm not sure that the elementary students would understand yet, but they might. If they do, I'm willing. So assemblies.